Why is it important? Excuse me. Why is it important to clean up your personal information on your consumer report? Why is it important that you clean up your personal information on your consumer report? Hello, all. This is Blind Intelligence, and I am your host, Foresight. Hey, I got some nuggets for you today, so you need to tune in for this. Yo, this is going to be another nugget. Let me drop this disclaimer. This is not legal advice. I don't offer legal advice. And if you want legal advice, I admonish you to find yourself a legal attorney, a lawyer, paralegal, if somebody that's in that space. And by all means, please be advised. And good luck. This here is strictly for informational and your edification only. If you find it entertaining, by all means, be entertained. Now, we got those things out the way. Let's get down to business. Why is it important that you clean up that personal information on that consumer report? Because your personal information on your consumer report is what lenders, underwriters is looking at. Like if you say, let's say for example, if you decide that you want to go get a mortgage or become a homeowner, you want a mortgage, you want to get a loan for a mortgage, they're looking at that. You in return need to have all that straight before you even go and ask for the loan. They don't know who you are. You could be telling them, you could be telling them a lie. You show them your identification, but here you got all these addresses. All these addresses. Say, well, who are you? Yeah, you may have this ad. You could have changed that. It's easy to change swap your stuff up. Now, but if you go there with your information already together, one address, one name, one telephone number, one place of employment. Now you're starting to look more credible because they basically go on credibility, and they looking at that your consumer report because that's where your financial credibility stands. That's where it stands at. They want to know who they're dealing with. The different variances of your name. You may have your name may be John Henry Doe or Jane Susan Doe, but it may be a different variance of it. It may be Doe Henry John, or it might even say Doe Hubert John. And those things you have to look out for because there could be accounts on that consumer report that is tied with those names. And here you got a whole stack of consumer reports. When you pull your consumer reports, you got a whole stack of them. You never bought the house, you never bought a car, you never took a personal loan, you don't have no credit card. And if you have, everything is current. You've paid everything off. Your credibility could be fine. But if you don't have, if you got different variances of your name and it's showing up on that consumer report that the credibility of those names You got late payments, charge-offs, all different types of stuff. They're tied to you. They just made tied to you. So if you clean it all up, now once you clean all that stuff up, all that stuff is supposed to drop off your consumer report, and it's only supposed to report the accurate information that you have provided, that you have provided, or that your creditors has provided to them. If you got a credit card, if you took it out a personal loan, if you have a car, if you had a mortgage, all that's going to show up. Let's say you never had a mortgage. You just had the personal loan, the car, and the credit card. Well, all of that is up to date. That should be showing up on your consumer report. Not that other junk. That other junk, once again, that other junk is tied in with those other names. And you have to clean that personal information up. The banks is not going to, some of the banks, they're going to talk to you, yes, but you're going to get hassled. So now, question, how do we clean it up? Well, the first thing you need to do before you can clean anything up is you need to get a copy of your consumer reports. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You need to get a copy of those consumer reports. Once you get a copy of those consumer reports, you want to look at your personal information. Don't worry about the rest. Forget the inquiries. Forget the charge-offs. Forget the late payments. Forget the bankruptcies. Whatever's on that consumer report, don't be distracted by it. Because if you didn't do it, there's no need to debate. There's no need to argue. This is not mine. Oh, this is not mine. And you getting your blood pressure all rise and all out of whack. And all it is just the names that's tied with those accounts needs to come off your consumer report just by cleaning up the personal information. See, this is why I say about the debt collectors. When you have a third-party debt collector taking you to court because you don't know what your rights are, here's a nugget. When you don't know what your rights are, they take you to court and they give you, and they tell you, they say, well, because you didn't answer their letters, so now you got a summons. Here comes the sheriff. Sets the summons in your hand, you go to court. Well, you should have answered the letters before you got the summons. That is the easiest thing to get rid of. It should never get to court, ever. Because under 15 USC 1692G, small g, they have to verify and validate the debt. And they can't never do. They're a third-party debt collector. But when you don't answer them, now they got grounds, because in that clause, remember, it states we're going to assume that this debt is valid. If you do not answer us, we're going to assume it's valid. And you in hassling because you got to take off of work and go to court. And that's the same thing I'm saying about your personal information. Your personal information is very important on that consumer report. And you get all of those names that does not tie into you off your consumer report. You get a copy of your consumer report, and you write you a nice letter, and you send and say, hey, all of these accounts, and you highlight them. Say all of these names and addresses is not mine. Here's my correct. You send them a copy of your driver's license for educational and informational purposes only. You send a copy of your driver's license / ID. You send them a copy of a current bill, and some of them may request your social security card. And you may send them all three of those copies of those documentations, certified mail with a return receipt, so they get it. It's in their hand. They sign for it. Somebody physically signs for it. So that way you get the 3811 card back. They know you know that they got it. So that's important. So now they clean up all your information, and I think it's TransUnion and Equifax. You could just call them. You can call them up. Get they 1-800 numbers and call them up and ask them. Say, hey, look, listen, I would like to clear up my personal information. That's all you need to say. Here's a copy of my bill. Here's a copy. You know, I have my name is John Doe, not John Henry Doe. So, and they will clean up that personal information for you. You know, because it has to be accurate and complete. It's very important that your consumer report is accurate. Don't go to the bank and embarrass yourself. Don't go to the bank and embarrass yourself. So this is a very important nugget that you must comprehend, because the thing is that a lot of people do not, and especially in the city and state where I live in Jackson, Mississippi, that's running rampant. You got a lot of personal loan companies out here that target people. They don't care. They don't care. But the people being that you don't know, they'll run right over you, because you'll spend the check, and then they're ready to take you to court because you don't know what your rights are. And knowing your personal information is part of understanding what your rights are. Don't do it because I told you to or some guru told you to on the internet. Do the research yourself and understand why it is important that you clean up your personal information. I am Foresight. Until next time, this is Blind Intelligence.